He was scary back in the day, but Thanos is soooo last decade. Marvel has villains way more frightening than that purple titan will ever be, and some of them you'll be seeing on screen very soon.
When Annihilus was first introduced in the pages of Fantastic Four, he was called the Living Death That Walks, and in the years since, he's more than lived up to that title. Thanos might have killed half the universe, and Galactus might devour planets, but they at least see what they're doing as necessary. Annihilus, on the other hand, doesn't just pillage his way across the galaxy, he enjoys every second of it. At heart, Annihilus is an insect, and as the ruler of the chaotic interdimensional negative zone, he's got an entire swarm of space locusts at his command ready to consume everything in their path. That's exactly what happened in Marvel's Annihilation crossover, where he led an insectoid armada to destroy entire planets. He's incapable of pity or remorse, and would casually snuff out billions of lives just to expand his empire. The Marvel Universe is full of unsettling monstrosities, and compared to them, an overgrown octopus with a gigantic eye might not seem that scary. The thing is, that's not really Shuma-Gorath. It's just the way it appears in the physical world. In reality, well, it's reality anyway, it's part of an extra-dimensional race of beings known as the Many-Angled Ones who ruled Earth as gods during prehistory. It was cast down by Crom, the uncaring warrior god worshipped by Conan the Barbarian, but it's been trying to find its way back to Earth ever since.
I will come for your dimension next!
As Marvel's attempt to bring some H.P. Lovecraft-style horror to the comics page, Shuma-Gorath was terrifying from its very first appearance, when it forced Doctor Strange to kill his own teacher in order to stop the evil possessing him from within. There have been evil gods in the Marvel Universe for as long as Loki's been around, but Shuma-Gorath was the first one to be inhuman and incomprehensible, which makes it way scarier. As a creature who exists entirely on the astral plane, in the realm of thoughts, the Shadow King has no body of his own. He can, however, take over anyone else's body and consume their personality. When that happens, we're not just talking about the kind of mind control that's common in superhero stories. The Shadow King wants to experience the physical world however he can, spending years in a body, using it to live out his every hedonistic desire and ruining the body in the process. One of the most horrifying examples of his parasitic use of his host comes in the pages of New Mutants, when he took over Karma and twisted her body into something monstrous from an indulgence in carnal pleasures. More recently, he's been used as the primary villain on the TV series Legion, which depicts him as the chameleon-like creature of corruption that he's always been in the comics. Killgrave, also known as the Purple Man, isn't a god or a cosmic entity or a non-corporeal psychic being. He's just a man with one of the most simple superpowers imaginable. He can make anyone do anything he wants. His slightest suggestion is an irresistible command. If he tells someone to stop breathing, they'll suffocate without drawing another breath. He can't even turn his power on and off. When he was first created, he was just another mind-controlling supervillain, but over the years, his ability to effortlessly control everyone around him twisted his mind into something truly horrifying. When he was brought back to comics as part of Jessica Jones's backstory, his true terrifying potential was on display with his ability to rob victims of their own will and autonomy, combined with the very real-world horror of sexual assault. Comics creators borrow ideas from other pieces of pop culture all the time, and the Brood might be one of the best examples. Created in the pages of Uncanny X-Men in 1982, they're pretty much just the Marvel Universe equivalent of the creature from Ridley Scott's 1979 film Alien. In the interest of doing something slightly different from that film, though, Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum created an even more viscerally frightening body horror concept. While the xenomorph from Alien implants an egg that bursts out of a human body and kills the host, the Brood reproduce in another way. Their eggs don't burst out, they take over their victims' bodies and transform them into new brood. The host is still trapped in there while their new form uses their memories and knowledge to more effectively conquer the galaxy. In other words, the Brood are the answer to the question, what if xenomorphs were also zombies and also trapped you in a mutated body that you couldn't control? Fear comes in many shapes, and these guys are at least 3 of them.
Sure, Thanos killed half the universe, but he did it in the pursuit of what he saw as a higher purpose. Hela doesn't need a reason to kill. Death is who she is and what she does.
I am Hela, Odin's firstborn, the commander of the legions of Asgard, the rightful heir to the throne and the goddess of death.
When she kills you, you go to her realm of hell, which is hell with 1 L, if you're keeping track, and become part of her undead army, which as afterlives go, doesn't sound particularly fun. This is why the Vikings try so hard to prove their value as warriors, because only the bravest and best are chosen by the Valkyrie to spend eternity feasting in Odin's Great Hall of Valhalla. In theory, everyone else goes to hell. The Marvel version of Hela was introduced by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in Journey into Mystery number 102. Her intricate armor and multi-horned helmet are classic Kirby designs, and help make Hela one of his scariest looking characters. In fact, of all Thor's enemies, she's probably the scariest. After all, it's not easy to stop someone from killing whoever they want when they have dominion over the realm of death. Kang the Conqueror is a strategist by nature. He never makes a move until everything is arranged perfectly, and he's confident that whatever happens is certain to go his way. Because he's from the far future, Kang has access to time travel, meaning that when he's orchestrating his manipulative plans, he can change the past to make the future he wants more likely. Anytime the Avengers face Kang, they have to realize that he may have already changed their timeline in ways they aren't even aware of.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your days on this dead Earth, for this is where I am leaving.
As you might expect, conflicts with Kang can get pretty confusing. He first appeared in 1964's Avengers number 8, but a previous time-traveling villain named Rama Tut, who'd appeared a year before in Fantastic Four number 19, was later revealed to be Kang from another place in his timeline. Thanks to the convoluted nature of time travel, you never know when more than one Kang might show up, and at times he may even be at war with different versions of himself. As happens in the Kang War storyline that started in Avengers number 128. Mess with Kang and you'll soon wish you'd never been born. Marvel is lousy with demons, but none greater than Mephisto. Inspired by Mephistopheles from The Legend of Faust, Mephisto has been Marvel's official Satan stand-in for over 50 years, ever since his debut in The Silver Surfer number 3 by Stan Lee and John Buscema. He's the devil who holds Dr. Doom's witch mother captive in his own version of hell. He's also the one who made the deal that turned Johnny Blaze into Ghost Rider. Like the demon on which he was based, Mephisto will show up and say plenty of nice things to you if he thinks you might sign on his dotted line. But if you don't do exactly what he wants, you'll soon find out that he's more than capable of ruining your life and your afterlife. The Hate-Monger was a mysterious villain who first appeared in Fantastic Four number 21 in 1963. He's an unnerving masked figure in a peaked hood that immediately brings to mind the Ku Klux Klan. Only he's also got a ray gun that makes people hate each other. He eventually turns out to be none other than Adolf Hitler, or maybe just one of his doubles or clones who assumed his new identity after fleeing Germany. This Hitler dies at the end of that first Hate-Monger story, but it soon turns out that hate itself isn't so easy to kill. What makes the Hate-Monger scary isn't just that he's Adolf Hitler. The scary thing about the Hate-Monger is the idea of Hitler and the hate he represented being practically impossible to kill.
There are no men like me.
There are always men like you.
He just keeps coming back, over and over, with new and more powerful technology every time. Introduced in issue number 5 of the Ultimates 2, the First Firmament is the living embodiment of the first universe that ever existed back at the dawn of time. Attacked by the very beings it had created, its consciousness survived and remained in the void. When Eternity, the 8th living universe to exist, was weakened by other events out in the cosmos, the First Firmament returned and sought revenge. The sheer scale of the cosmic power wielded by the First Firmament, who has no regard for life in our universe, is deeply terrifying on a cosmic existential level. Fortunately, the Ultimates and Galactus were able to help Eternity defeat the First Firmament, but it was doubtless a close call with an unusually powerful and entirely evil being.
Thanos killed half the universe with a snap. Sure, they got better after a while, but still, who could compete with that level of villainy? Well, now that Kang is a forgotten memory, only one guy can fit the bill: Doom. Here's why he's an even bigger threat. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created Victor Von Doom to be the lifelong nemesis of arguably the Marvel Universe's smartest man, Reed Richards. So obviously, he had to be smart.
Doom, stop! You don't know what you're doing!
Quite the contrary. I know exactly what I'm doing.
And he's proven time and again that he's a scientific genius to rival that accursed Richards. He built a time machine, for crying out loud. Yet Doom is always looking for any advantage, so he doesn't just rely on science for his schemes. A key component of his origin is that his mother, Cynthia, was a witch. Doom inherited her occult instruments and learned some sorcery, later enhancing those abilities by going back in time and studying under Arthurian sorceress Morgan Le Fay. In the classic 1989 graphic novel Triumph and Torment by Roger Stern and Mike Mignola, Doom proves just how powerful he is by nearly beating Doctor Strange, the then Sorcerer Supreme, in a magic competition. They then go on to team up and trick Mephisto into releasing Cynthia's soul from hell. It rules. You should read it. In another must-read Doom story by Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo, Unthinkable, which starts in 2003's Fantastic Four number 67. Victor goes back to his magical roots by making a pact with demons to increase his power as a sorcerer. The deal comes with one condition. He has to sacrifice something he loves, so he coldly kills his girlfriend from his youth, Valeria, for the power boost. Yes, Thanos is a warlord who oversees the Moon Titan, but Doom is a dictator in his own right of his home country, Latveria. He has been fairly consistently ever since Fantastic Four Annual number 2, which is quite an achievement considering how many superheroes and government agencies have tried to unseat him over the years.
I am not a tyrant, I am their savior.
Doom didn't become a ruler by birth, he had to seize power. The 2006 series Books of Doom by Ed Brubaker and Pablo Raimondi flashes back to Doom returning to his home country after studying both science and magic abroad. He wages a war against the king, Vladimir Fortunov, with an army of rebels and robots he built. He eventually chokes the king to death and takes control of the country, ruling it with a literal iron fist ever since. Beyond that, Doom has been the ruler of Earth or even larger realms several times. The 1987 graphic novel Emperor Doom, 2015 Secret Wars, and in the 2025 One World Under Doom storyline. Speaking of Secret Wars, Doom absolutely wasted the Mad Titan in that series. Thanos and Doom had gone toe-to-toe before in the Infinity Gauntlet story in 1991, and given that Thanos was at the height of his powers then thanks to the Infinity Gems, he defeated Doom without a whole lot of trouble. But he only knocked Doom for a loop. His armor protected him from death. When the two faced off a second time in Secret Wars number 8 by Jonathan Hickman and Asad Ribic, Doom did not return the favor. This time it's God Emperor Doom, who has the nearly limitless power taken from the Beyonders, and he uses it to wipe the floor with the Mad Titan. Thanos calls Doom a weak god and talks a big game, saying he won't need the Infinity Gauntlet to take Doom down. But then Doom acts instantaneously, ripping most of the Mad Titan skeleton out of his body. It's basically a Mortal Kombat fatality. In their two showdowns so far, Thanos and Doom each had a clear advantage that gave each an easy win. But what if they went one-on-one without the power boost? Maybe it'll happen someday. Thanos probably has the strength edge, but with his ingenuity and cunning, Doom would have a good shot at taking the Mad Titan down. Thanos killed half a universe, but Doom? He'll take down an entire realm of existence just because he feels insulted. In 2020's Doctor Doom number 10 by Christopher Cantwell and Salvador Larroca, Doom travels to an alternate world, Earth TRN 1512. He meets another version of himself, a reformed Victor Von Doom, who overcame his ego and pride, renounced villainy, and vowed instead to make the world a better place. And he did! It's amazing what Doom can do when he isn't focused on revenge. But the Doom who was still hung up on revenge didn't like the way his counterpart spoke to him, especially having his armor called ridiculous. So the Earth 616 Doom kills that other one. And that's not enough. So he then decides to do away with the whole universe by using the ultimate nullifier. So yeah, Dr. Doom has single-handedly slaughtered an innumerable amount of people. He even one-ups noted death lover Thanos with his dialogue here saying, "In this moment, I become death's greatest servant." That's metal. As I said, Dr. Doom is always looking for whatever unfair advantage he can get. And if that advantage is unmeasurable cosmic power, he'll take it. You may remember when Julian McMahon's Doom stole the title Herald of Galactus' powers in 2007's Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, and used it for his own ends.
You have to give it up! You know, I've never been the giving type, Reed.
Well, that came straight out of Lee and Kirby's Fantastic Four number 57 from more than 40 years earlier. Doom takes and uses the Surfer's power to terrorize the Fantastic Four for 4 issues, only losing it by falling into a trap Galactus set to keep the Surfer confined to Earth. Years later, in 1984's Marvel Superhero Secret Wars number 10 by Jim Shooter and Mike Zeck, Doom battles the Beyonder, who had taken many of Earth's heroes and villains and pitted them against each other in a cosmic battle royale. Doom manages to steal the Beyonder's incredible powers, using them to restore his face and wipe out all the heroes who opposed him. Doom once again loses his godlike abilities only thanks to his own hubris, after being talked into using too much of his power, spinning it out of his control. Of course, Doom once again achieves near omnipotence in the 2015 Secret Wars series, but he's defeated there as a result of the betrayal of Molecule Man, who had been lending the power of the Beyonders to Doom. Comics Thanos has one goal: impress death. Movie Thanos is a pragmatist who follows a warped moral code, but Doom? He's a hater. With apologies to Kendrick Lamar, he may be the greatest hater of all time.
You are nothing to Doom, and your pathetic attempts to play mind games with me amount to exactly less than nothing.
Victor Von Doom is singularly fueled by pettiness and despises anyone who makes him feel inferior. That's why he hates his former college frenemy Reed Richards so much. Reed is one of the only people Doom knows for a fact is smarter than him. When Doom builds a device to contact his mom in the afterlife, Reed warns him that it's dangerous to test it out. But Doom does it anyway, and is left scarred, leading him to permanently affix that metal mask to his face. Doom blames Reed for all of it, leading to decades of targeted hating. Just a couple examples. Doom saves the life of Reed's wife, Susan Storm Richards, and her unborn baby, just so he can insist on naming their eventual daughter Valeria. And in the aforementioned unthinkable story, Doom uses his new powers and demonic pals to kidnap Reed and Sue's son, Franklin, and hold him captive in hell. One thing about Dr. Doom is that you can never be sure if the metal-faced megalomaniac you're looking at is the real article. One reason for that is that Doom can swap minds with anyone he likes. Way back in Lee and Kirby's Fantastic Four number 10 in 1962, Doom is shown learning that ability from the alien Ovoids. He then temporarily swaps bodies with who else? Reed Richards. Doom rarely uses this ability because he's too self-centered to want anybody but his own for too long. But he has used it to great effect a few times. For instance, in 1983's Fantastic Four number 260 by John Byrne, he swaps bodies with a bystander to fake his own death. It's honestly a testament to just how powerful Doom is, that he only employs this wildly useful power every once in a while. For so many other supervillains, this power alone would be their entire deal. And hey, maybe this body swapping ability could explain why the MCU's Dr. Doom looks so much like Tony Stark. Just a thought. Ooh, that was sassy. Another way you never know if the Doom in front of you is the genuine article? Well, it might be one of the hundreds or maybe thousands of robots called Doombots that Doom has on hand. They look, speak, and act just like him, and it fooled some pretty smart people into thinking they were Doom himself. The Doombots have been around since Doom's very first appearance in Lee and Kirby's Fantastic Four number 5 from 1962. Since then, countless stories have ended with the twist that the villain wasn't even Doom himself, but a Doombot all along. Consider just how good at robotics someone has to be to build an army of Doombots so convincing that they even tricked telepaths into believing they were the real Doom. Not even Tony Stark has managed that, but Doom was Iron Man for a while. Word of warning, don't get close to Dr. Doom. He will betray you.
The machine worked for me. It can work for you too.
Oh, it did, Ben. It worked perfectly.
You planned this.
He apparently learned this skill from his mentor. In 2009's Fantastic Four number 566 by Mike Miller and Brian Hitch, it's revealed that a multiversal being called the Marquis of Death, who spent most of his time destroying universes, trained a young Doom as his apprentice. The Marquis returns after 20 years away and is disappointed in Doom's various defeats at the hands of the Fantastic Four. He lays waste to Latveria and sends Doom back to prehistoric times to die. Instead of dying though, Doom spends millions of years learning more black magic, rewriting his molecular structure to stay alive and hidden. He finally comes back in Fantastic Four number 569, posing as the Marquis's new apprentice. He then burns the Marquis to death. When the Thing asks if the Doom who was sent back in time was a Doombot, Doom answers that it was really him. It was his hate that kept him alive. Dr. Doom has saved the lives of several heroes and even the entire world a few times, but always in service of his personal goals. Most recently, Doom helped Doctor Strange deal with those pesky vampires that were terrorizing the planet in the 2024 Blood Hunt event by Jed McKay and Pepe Larraz. Doom tells Strange he's got a spell that can guarantee the Avengers' victory against the vampire leader, Varney, but he can only execute it if given the title of Sorcerer Supreme. With few other options, Strange transfers the power to Doom on the condition that Doom will give it back when the world is saved. After Varney is defeated, Strange asks for his power back, but Doom tells him the world is far from saved. Doom does nothing halfway, he says, banishing Strange from his sight. Doom remains Sorcerer Supreme in the 2025 One World Under Doom event, using the title to help him convince Earth's leaders to hand total control over to him. This example doesn't pertain directly to the 616 version of Dr. Doom, but it does illustrate how ruthless a very similar version of Doom truly is deep down.
Hear me, nations of the world. My power is without limit.
In the 2009 series, Dr. Doom and the Masters of Evil by Paul Tobin, Patrick Scherberger, and Jacopo Camani, Doom endures a series of challenges that eventually enable him to make a single wish that changes reality to whatever he chooses. Though he briefly considers wishing Reed Richards out of existence, he instead opts to say, "I wish never to be bothered by any sense of guilt." Again, this is not the mainline Marvel U version of Doom. Dr. Doom and the Masters of Evil takes place in the alternate Marvel Adventures universe, also called Earth 20051. That said, this Doom is very similar to the 616 version, and it stands to reason that most other Dooms would probably make the same wish. And a villain with no moral compass at all? That's scary.
Move over, Thanos, there's a new cosmic baddie in town. But what makes the Devourer of Worlds so much scarier than the Mad Titan?
Thanos is the most powerful being in the universe. Not anymore.
Thanos' cosmic nature is part of what makes him so terrifying.
I am inevitable.
The Mad Titan has spent much of his existence traveling the stars, and so there's always a pretty good chance that he'll call on some new, unexpected threat to bring down Earth's mightiest heroes. Compared to Galactus though, Thanos might as well be a basement dweller. When Galactus was first born, he was a denizen of the planet Tar, named Galin. Unfortunately for Galin and his people, the multiverse in which Tar existed was coming to an end. Galin tried to save his people, but they, and everything else, succumbed to the plague known as the Black Winter. Before Galen's entire reality ceased to exist, however, the sentience of the Sixth Cosmos merged with Galen's body, uniting the two beings to become Galactus. Basically, this means that Galactus both survived the fall of his own multiverse and existed throughout the one inhabited by most Marvel superheroes. Thanos' own life story is chump change in comparison. If Galactus were an ordinary mortal, then his prolonged lifespan and millennia of experience wouldn't be quite so scary. After all, there's only so much a person can remember at any given time. So, who cares if the guy came from an older multiverse? Thing is, Galactus also happens to possess a truly towering intellect. Before he fused with the sentience of the Sixth Cosmos, Galin had been a scientist and explorer with an inquisitive mind and plenty of skills. After the fusion, he gained access to the power cosmic. The source of unimaginable energy gave him enhanced intelligence and near total knowledge of the workings of the universe. The power cosmic also provided Galactus with a bunch of other abilities, but we'll get to them later.
Patience.
Obviously, the Marvel Universe is home to many geniuses, or genii, or whatever. Generally though, Reed Richards is seen as a benchmark for human superintelligence, but even Mr. Fantastic has often found himself stumped by Galactus' intellectual prowess. While exploring Galactus' spaceship, for example, Reed and the other members of the Fantastic Four discover technology that they can't even begin to comprehend. This is the kind of stuff that would change the course of any mortal civilization, if Galactus didn't hoard it all for himself, that is. Here's another reason why Galactus is a much scarier threat than Thanos. See this guy? He's pretty big, right? But this guy, yeah, you see where we're going with this.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Setting aside all their powers, minions, and special equipment, Galactus has a clear physical advantage over Thanos. In the comics, Galactus is absolutely massive. He tends to stand at almost 30 feet and weighs more than 16 tons. Though he actually has the power to change his size at will, he once grew so big that he was able to wrestle with a literal sun. As such, Galactus doesn't technically need to use any of his powers to crush the insects that cross his path. While there's been plenty of chatter about Galactus' relatively small size in the first trailer for the Fantastic Four First Steps, it's worth remembering that there's a good chance he's simply shrinking so as to better move around on Earth. And even if this is Galactus at maximum size, well, he's still about 100 times larger than old Purple Chins. Galactus is perfectly capable of traversing open space on his own, but he prefers to conserve his energy, so he usually jets around in a mile-wide spherical starship that's capable of interdimensional travel. The crown jewel of his fleet, however, is a so-called world ship, otherwise named Tar-2, in tribute to Galactus' lost homeworld. Galactus' world ship is mind-bogglingly big. It even has its own gravitational pull. It's just about the most intimidating deep space object you could ever lay your eyes on, in fact, though he didn't just build it to be flashy. Tar-2 actually serves as a base of operations for Galactus, allowing him to continue his scientific research and missions. To that end, the ship features all kinds of bells and whistles, including an intergalactic zoo where Galactus keeps animals from the various worlds he's devoured. In short, the world ship is a sick ride, and it puts Thanos' sanctuary starships to shame. Like heroes, villains are often defined by their motives. Thanos isn't just scary because he's a powerful warrior with an infinity gauntlet. He's scary because he's dead set on destroying half of the universe.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
That said, he has his reasons for doing so. The MCU version of the character believes that he can solve the universe's many problems by cutting its population in half. The comic book version wants to cause mass death so that he can impress Death herself. Galactus doesn't operate in the same way though. He isn't driven by a moral code or an emotional impulse. The real reason that Galactus tears through the universe, consuming entire planets, is because he needs to. Planets are the only source of fuel for Galactus' massive body and his cosmic powers. This means that you usually can't reason with Galactus, and there's nothing you can offer him that will make him stop. In some ways, Galactus is a victim of his own powers because even if he wanted to stop killing, he couldn't. Essentially, he's more like an unstoppable force of cosmic destruction than a standard supervillain, and isn't that much scarier? The true source of Galactus' abilities is the power cosmic. This is the essence of the sixth cosmos' sentience, which had previously melded with the once mortal being called Galen. Without the power cosmic, Galactus would never have existed. With it, his powers are nearly limitless. Think back to some of the most impressive feats Thanos carried out during the MCU's Infinity Saga. He used the power of the Infinity Stones to transform reality around the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, and crash an entire moon onto Iron Man. Pretty cool, right? Well, Galactus is more than capable of doing all that and more. And he doesn't need rocks to do them either.
We actually got a lot of those. Yeah, some of the guys use them as paperweights.
With the power cosmic, Galactus can shape reality to his will, teleport himself across space and time, and even create life itself. The power cosmic also grants Galactus almost complete understanding of everything in the universe, meaning virtually nothing exists beyond his knowledge. On top of that, Galactus can grant his heralds access to the power cosmic, making his henchmen stronger than most Marvel heroes. Infinity Gauntlet? Who needs it? Most Marvel villains are destined to spend most of their free time fighting for our entertainment, and Galactus has taken on some seriously impressive foes over the years. Of course, ending entire civilizations is basically his day job, so it should come as no surprise to learn that he can crush entire enemies with ease. More impressive, perhaps, is the fact that he once held his own in a war with the gods of Asgard, and in Fantastic Four number 603, he even killed a Celestial. Because they have access to the power cosmic, Galactus' heralds can be just as strong as he is. The Silver Surfer, for example, once fought two perennial gods at once and managed to kill them both, albeit narrowly. The only thing that slows Galactus and his heralds down is energy loss, but even this can be mitigated. When he knows there's a big battle coming, Galactus will consume multiple planets to charge up his resources. At that point, there's basically no force in the universe that can stand up to him, Thanos included.
All that you know is at an end.
As terrifying as Galactus might be, most of his victims will never see him face to face. Galactus spends much of his time living on Tar-2, and so his minions tend to do the dirty work for him. Galactus' heralds are his most recognizable servants, and they're almost as terrifying as the big man himself. The heralds can channel the same energy that fuels Galactus' own powers, so any of them can battle Galactus' enemies on their own. They also tend to have their own set of powers or extraterrestrial abilities, which set them apart from most even before they're chosen to serve Galactus. But the heralds aren't the only helping hand hands that Galactus has on board Tar-2. The Devourer of Worlds also utilizes a legion of robots called Punishers, which are made with alien technology from a world long since destroyed. Thanos has his own team of loyal helpers, of course, a group of formidable aliens known as the Black Order.
In all the time I've served Thanos, I have never failed him.
Powerful as they may be though, Thanos' generals are no match for those that serve Galactus. The Watchers aren't really known for getting involved in fights, but stranger things have happened in the grand cosmic history of the Marvel Universe. A long time ago, the Watchers gave a lesser race called the Priscilicans a helping hand by providing them with nuclear technology. Unfortunately, instead of using this tech for good, the Priscilicans used it to wage war, first among themselves and then on other planets. As a result, the Watcher Mnu created the Ultimate Nullifier to bring the war to a sudden end. With one shot, the Ultimate Nullifier wiped out almost all of the Priscilicans and destroyed 90% of the known universe. The Fantastic Four first learn about the Ultimate Nullifier when Johnny Storm finds it on Galactus' ship. They successfully threaten Galactus with the weapon to prevent him from consuming the Earth. And after that, it comes in and out of play on multiple occasions. The Ultimate Nullifier is even more devastating than the Infinity Gauntlet, and could arguably be called the most dangerous weapon in the entire Marvel Universe. Galactus keeps it on Tar-2 partly to protect himself, but also to defend the rest of the universe against greater threats. So you now know that Galactus is an even bigger deal than Thanos, but it's also worth knowing that he'll still be around long after the Mad Titan is gone. In Fantastic Four number 262, Reed Richards is put on trial by the Galactic Tribunal because he spared Galactus' life in a previous encounter. Reed admits to the crime, and he confesses that he's filled with guilt knowing that Galactus will inevitably consume another world. However, Reed also reveals he's discovered that Galactus plays an important role in the universe's ecosystem. A Watcher speaks up to agree with Reed, and then Galactus himself appears, summoning the being Eternity to explain that his role in the universe is greater than anyone can imagine. Reed's son, Franklin, later develops a unique relationship with Galactus, after becoming immortal himself in FF issue 16. An adult Franklin Richards and Galactus commiserate over the fact that they'll one day watch the end of the universe together. Galactus explains that he always knew he'd outlive the universe, and that he has spent much of his life fearing he would have to go through it alone. So, why exactly is Galactus so important to the universe? Well, let's say you're standing in Times Square looking up as Galactus looms over the Earth. The planet is about to be eaten, when who should fly onto the scene but the Fantastic Four? Then, during the battle, the heroes actually somehow manage to kill Galactus once and for all. Groovy, right?
Okay.
Just as you begin to celebrate, however, a much bigger, scarier being known as Abraxas rises up and wipes the entire multiverse from existence. Oh well, better luck next time, reality. The thing is, as inconvenient as it may be for the planet he's about to munch on, Galactus needs to be left alive in order to prevent an even worse fate from unfolding. Abraxas is a twisted cosmic entity driven to destroy all of creation, and it's only Galactus' immense power that prevents him from being unleashed. The moment Galactus dies, Abraxas will be freed, bringing death and destruction on an unimaginable scale, by which point you'll probably be wishing Thanos had turned up on Earth instead.